Seminary teachers, students of Taqwa, and community members. On behalf of IACC, I'd like to welcome you all to our 6th annual Taqwa Seminary graduation. My name is Taqwa, and I will be your MC this morning. I joined the Marker program with Sheikh Raslan this past year, but I also had the honor of being in the inaugural Taqwa graduation class. I can't begin to express how important Taqwa Seminary is for me. Back in 2016, when I graduated the Taqwa class, it was a wonderful experience. And this past year, I got the chance to rejoin Taqwa Seminary as part of the Falafel program for college students, which I think is just as important. Now, please join me in welcoming our graduates for the 2020-2021 academic year. This is a graduating batch unlike any other, having overcome the challenges of a virtual education in the midst of a worldwide pandemic. First, we have our youngest students from the Rufqa program. Next, please help me welcome the Taqwa graduating class. Next, we have our wonderful Marvel graduates. Finally, last but certainly not least, please welcome our Arabic students. Please join me in one more round of applause for all of our wonderful graduates, please. To begin our program today, I would like to invite a dear friend of mine, Fire Mu'ad Nabi, to the stage to recite some verses of the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى إن إلى ربك الرجعى أرأيت الذي ينهى عبدا إذا صلى أرأيت إن كان على الهدى أو أمر بالتقوى أرأيت إن كذب وتولى ألم يعلم بأن الله يرى صدق الله العظيم
Takbir, takbir, takbir. I'm sure many of us have been missing our beautiful powerful voice since Ramadan. Every night we used to enjoy it. It's been so long since we got a chance to hear it again. So, Jazakallah for such a beautiful and heartwarming recitation. Now I'd like to invite Arif Al-Qazi to please read the translation of the verses that we just heard.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Read, in the name of your Lord who created. He created man from a clinging form. Read, your Lord is the most bountiful one, who taught by means of the pen, who taught man what he did not know. But man exceeds all bounds when he thinks he is self-sufficient. Prophet, all will return to your Lord. Have you seen the man who forbids our servant to pray? Have you seen whether he is rightly guided or encourages true piety? Have you seen whether he denies the truth or turns away from it? Does he not realize that God sees all?
Jazakallah khair, Sister Eva Hazi. Just a note, Sister Eva is currently a sophomore at the University of Texas at Dallas and studies biomedical engineering. She's also a student in the Taqwa Seminary's Falah program for college youth, which was launched last year. Now I would like to welcome up someone extremely important to how this masjid runs, our Amir, Brother Manzoor. I'd like to invite up our current Amir, Brother Manzoor.
I was wondering what you're going to say after the pause, but I'm glad he did not say anything. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Honorable Imam, Scholar Shuyukh, Sheikh Arsalan, Sheikh Mikhail, Ustad Fahad, Qari Muaz, my respected community members, and esteemed graduates, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On behalf of IACC, it's my honor and pleasure to welcome all of you to this Taqwa Seminary graduation. This is our 7th graduation for Taqwa Seminary and first ever for Marika graduation. After the establishment of the IACC facility in this location in 2001, the community members and the administration made sure that this facility is not just a masjid. We focused on making this an Islamic center. By the grace and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have introduced various programs for this community. You will be amazed to know in this facility, sisters are getting trained with Taekwondo. We have basketball league for brothers and inshallah in future for sisters. Our children, our brothers and sisters getting married in this facility on a daily basis almost. We have dental and medical clinic, and we also have a food bank right outside as we speak, where we serve about 120 families or so on a weekly basis, alhamdulillah. In addition, we have Safina services, so one of a kind of clinic, especially dental, that we serve in this metroplex, no other masajid have, alhamdulillah. We have started and complete the first Muslim cemetery in Collin County. We have part-time gigs, full-time gigs, special needs program, various technical education programs, and above all, we have quality Islamic education under Taqwa Seminary, such as Taqwa Arabic, Rufqa, Suhba, Falah, and Marika. In 2013-2014, under the leadership of Khalil Abdul Rashid and that Amir brother Akram Syed, Taqwa Seminary was formed. Since then, we never looked back. After the arrival of Sheikh Arsalan with his leadership and guidance and the assistance from the Shura, at that time Brother Shamsur Rahman Amir and the following Brother Nadis Patan, Taqwa Seminary moved to new heights. New structured curriculum was established under the guidance of Sheikh Arsalan, and alhamdulillah, today we are seeing the fruits of it. I would also like to acknowledge the neighboring masajid and imams who contributed to these programs, Muslims from all over the metroplex come to this institution, especially this Taqwa seminary, to gain knowledge. May Allah bless everyone who have contributed to this program. This would not be possible without the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the dedication of everyone. Next, I'd like to say a few words to the graduates. After years of hard work and dedication, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed each one of you to sit here, patiently waiting for your name to be called, to earn the well-deserved certificate. But this is just the beginning. Please keep your aim high. Inshallah, the Rufqa graduates will all move to the Suba. Suba graduates will all move to Falak/Marifa, according to their choice. Please take the full opportunity that this institution provides. May Allah bless you all, and I'd like to advise also that have a fire in your belly for the education. Because Alhamdulillah, this masajid have qualified scholars and teachers to provide this education on a periodic basis, so please take advantage of it. Next, I'd like to thank all the volunteers who helped make this possible. And inshallah, Sheikh Assalam will name them by name, but there is two names I must say: Brother Haki, Trena, Sister Maya. They worked passionately for this masjid, especially Taqwa Seminary as well. All the classes being set up, all the grades being posted, and their diligence shows, Alhamdulillah. I was talking to Sister Maya. I said, did you make sure that you put my 96, not 69? I just wanted to make sure that all our grades were entered properly. Alhamdulillah, Sheikh Assalam double checked, and he's been done. Jazakumullah khairan. And also, there's one more name, Brother Burhan and his team also helped this set up with his volunteers, and Allah bless him as well. I want to end this with a short story. There's a sister who reached out to IACC, and she said she wanted to provide a service called Digitally Responsible Parents. And we reached out to her, and we said, what kind of program are you going to provide? And she said she wanted to have a seminar in today's world that how parents need to be informed that what are the things out there that we need to be careful about our children. So my conversation just yesterday, she mentioned when she was a young kid, her parents used to bring her to IACC. And this is her time to give back to IACC. Now she's married, and Alhamdulillah, she has a 17-year-old children, and she's also the principal or vice principal of the Kopel Technical School. Why am I mentioning this? Brothers and sisters, I take a lesson from this that she hasn't forgotten her roots, and Alhamdulillah, now she has a time, she's coming back to this institution. So, first and foremost for me, and then for everyone graduating, do not forget IACC. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you to come back to this institution, to be a teacher, to be a helper, and what shape and form, please do so. John F. Kennedy said, it is not what you can do for your country, it's what your country can do for you. With that phrase, I like to say, it is not only what IACC can do for you, what we can do for IACC. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you all.
Dear Amir, I was thinking of what I was going to say to introduce him, but he's seen me since I was literally a toddler, so it would have been a little weird to introduce him like that. But Jazakallah again, such an empowering, enlightening speech. You do have a point that all of us should take the opportunity when we have the chance to give back to this masjid that has given so much to us. Now I would like to welcome one of my very, very dear and respected teachers, Sheikh Arslan Haq, a resident scholar at IACC and director at Taqwa Seminary. He teaches the Sukhba, Bala, and Marfa classes and will give you all an overview of the programs here at Taqwa.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله. الحمد لله الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We thank Him because it is only by His grace and blessings that we are able to complete anything good, anything beneficial. Taqwa Seminary was established by IACC with the vision to make the Islamic sciences accessible to every Muslim. All of our classes are taught in the house of Allah by qualified traditional instructors using a structured curriculum that aims to inspire the students to practice Islam with conviction, with sincerity, and excellence. We have gathered here today to celebrate the achievements of our students and to congratulate them on their advancement to higher levels of study in their respective programs. First, I would like to address our students in the Arabic program. Will you please rise? Please be seated. Students of the Arabic language, you are on a journey. A journey to learn the language of the Quran, the language of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the language of the people of Jannah. You are on your way to developing a connection with the Book of Allah that will be stronger than any translation can ever give you. You are on your way to acquiring the keys to the rich Islamic tradition that remains locked away from non-Arabic speakers. Be persistent. Do not give up. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you complete your journey with conviction, sincerity, and excellence. Next, I would like to address our graduates of the Rufqa program. Will you please rise? Please give these young men and women a round of applause. Please be seated. My young middle schooler brothers and sisters, congratulations. You've come a long way. After 3 years of dedication and sacrifice, you're finally here, ready to graduate, ready to embark on the next chapter in your lives. Today, you are no longer the young 6th graders that you were when you joined this program 3 years ago. Today, you're older. Today, you're wiser. Today, after 3 years in the Rufqa program, you understand the importance of living a life of morality. You have learned the wisdom behind Islamic values and principles. You have engaged in honest conversations about the challenges that young people like yourselves face in today's society. and you have discovered ways to overcome those challenges, drawing from the life stories of Allah's prophets, life stories of the great companions, and learning from the real-life experiences of your mentors, Ustada Jasmine, Ustada Faduma, and Sheikh Hussein. You are lucky to have had them as your mentors. I hope that what they have taught you in the classroom, from their knowledge, and more importantly through their demeanor and character, has made a lasting impression on your own personality. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that everything that you have learned in these 3 years will help you as you continue on your journey of practicing Islam with conviction, sincerity, and excellence. Next, I would like to address our graduates of the Suhbah program. Will you please rise? Please give these young men and women a round of applause. You may be seated. Suhbah graduates, I am very proud of you. It has been a tough 2 years. COVID deprived us from the in-person learning that is such an integral part of the Suhbah experience. Yet it has been my honor to be your teacher and your companion during this journey that we have taken together. In these 2 years, you've learned to appreciate the big picture behind the do's and don'ts of Islam. You've learned the value of the Quran and the meaning of its most frequently recited passages. You've drawn inspiration from the life and character of our beloved Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You've learned to appreciate the incredible legacy of Muslim scholars and drawn inspiration from their lives as well. And above all, you have developed conviction in your beliefs and practices and pride in being a Muslim. I hope and I pray that you will remember the lessons that we learned together on this journey, and that you will continue to practice Islam with conviction, sincerity, and excellence. And last but not least, graduates of the Ma'arifah program, congratulations. Congratulations to all 16 of you. You've done it. You've made it all the way to the end. You've completed every single course that we have offered here over the last 4 years. The Ma'arifah program was launched 4 years ago, in the spring of 2017, with the simple goal of raising the level of Islamic literacy among the average Muslim adult. In 2017, our introductory class was attended by 89 brothers and sisters. During the last 4 years since then, we have offered 20 courses in the sacred sciences, 2 courses in Aqidah, 3 in Tazkiyah, 6 in Fiqh, 3 courses in Usulul Fiqh, 2 courses in Seerah, and 1 each in the Quran, the Hadith, and Islamic history. Many of these classes were attended by 100 students or more. But you, the 16 of you, you are the first group of students who have completed every single one of those courses. That is more than 500 hours of classroom learning, not counting outside the class. I am very proud of you. Your eagerness to learn, your dedication, your persistence. You're an inspiration to us all. Will you please rise? Please give them a round of applause. You may be seated. It's been an honor to be your teacher. And I hope and I pray that you will hold on to what you have learned, that you will share it with others, and that you will use it to practice your faith with conviction, with sincerity, and with excellence. In my conclusion, I would like to leave all of you students here with 4 pieces of advice. And I'm going to do that drawing from the ayat of Surah Al-Alaq that were recited by Qari Mu'adh at the beginning of today's commencement. Iqra, read, recite. The imperative to learn, to review what we have learned, and to remember what we have learned is an essential part of this deen from the very first revelation that was sent down to our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Iqra. We are a nation of Iqra. And therefore, my first advice to you, brothers and sisters of Rufqa and Suhba and Ma'rifah in Arabic, is to keep learning. Keep learning and keep reviewing what you have been learning. As the famous saying goes in the Arabic language, اطلب العلم من المهد إلى اللحد. Seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. Or as Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala used to say, مع المحبرة إلى المقبرة. That the ink pot will remain my companion to my grave. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues and says, خلق الإنسان من علق. اقرأ وربك الأكرم. Read, your Lord is the generous. الذي علم بالقلم. The one who taught by the pen. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. Who taught man what he did not know. Knowledge is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a gift that requires gratitude. Knowledge is what distinguished Adam above the angels when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught him the names of everything. And then questioned the angels in front of Adam to name those things, and when they couldn't. And then he asked Adam to name them. And it was established that Adam's knowledge was superior to the knowledge of the angels. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then commanded the angels to bow down to Adam. That knowledge was given to Adam as a gift. Knowledge is a gift from Allah that requires gratitude from us. We should never take it for granted. And therefore, my second advice to you, brothers and sisters, be grateful for what you have learned. And the way that you show gratitude for what you have learned is by doing 2 main things. Number 1, practice what you have learned. And number 2, share it with others around you. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues and He says later, كَلَّا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى أَن رَآهُ اسْتَغْنَى إِنَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ رُجْعًا. No, but indeed, man transgresses all bounds when he sees himself as self-sufficient. But surely to your Lord is the return. It is interesting, brothers and sisters, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the arrogance of the human being right after talking about the blessing of knowledge, as if to imply that there is oftentimes a connection between knowledge and arrogance. And how true that is, subhanAllah. Arrogance is a pitfall of learning that we must be very careful of. When somebody learns something, there's a tendency to believe that they know everything. Beware of ever feeling that now you know everything. Imam Mujahid from the Salaf, from the Tabi'een, he once said, 2 people shall never learn: the shy and the arrogant. The moment you become arrogant, your learning will stop. Don't fall into that trap. Remain humble. One of the objectives of the Taqwa seminary is to make the students realize how little they know. How little we know. It is reported that once Musa alayhi salam gave a powerful sermon that made people weep. So a man from the audience came to him afterwards, and he said to him, "That was such an incredible speech. You are so knowledgeable. Is there anyone more knowledgeable than you on this earth?" Musa said to him, "No." And Jibreel then came down and talked to Musa alayhi salam and said to him, "How did you say without saying Wallahu a'lam? How could you make such a statement that there is no one who knows more than you on this earth? Shouldn't you have said Allah knows best? I will tell you that there is someone more knowledgeable than you. Go and look for him." And that's when Musa set out to look for Khidr. And the rest of the story is mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf, as many of you know. The point is, brothers and sisters, that we have to learn from this story of Musa the importance of remaining humble. And that is my third advice to you today. Remain humble. And don't ever be shy to say, "Allah a'lam, I don't know." So many of our scholars, when they answer fatawa, and you can find this in their books until today, 700, 800 years old books, they begin to answer the fatwa, it goes on for pages, it always ends with, "Wallahu a'lam, Allah knows best." Imam Malik is well known for having received a traveler who came from a distant land with a list of 30 questions from his community on issues that they needed answers for. He came all the way, there was no email, there was no WhatsApp, there was no telephones. Came all the way to ask questions from the greatest mufti of the world, particularly the city of the Prophet ﷺ. Most of the questions that were posed to Imam Malik, the response was, "I don't know. I don't know, I don't know, I don't know." Until the man said, "Ya Imam, what am I going to tell all those people that are waiting for these answers? What am I going to tell them when I go back to them?" And Imam Malik said to him, "You're going to go back to them and you're going to tell them that the Imam of the Masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Malik ibn Anas, does not know." There's nothing wrong with saying, "I don't know." We have to be humble. That is my third piece of advice to you, brothers and sisters. And fourthly, as we continue in this passage that was recited so beautifully by Qari Mu'adh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says later, أَلَمْ يَعْلَمْ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَرَى. Doesn't man know that God sees him? أَلَمْ يَعْلَمْ. All this knowledge that we learn by the pen, all this knowledge that we seek and that we acquire, all of this knowledge, doesn't that make you realize this very essential fact that Allah sees you? What is the benefit of all of this knowledge if it does not make us realize this? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the Quran will be a proof of Allah for you or against you. This knowledge that we acquire can be a proof for us, but it can be a proof against us as well. Abu Darda radiallahu ta'ala anhu said that the thing that I fear the most is when I am stopped for accountability. It would be said to me, you knew. So what did you do with what you knew? And so my fourth and final advice to you, my brothers and sisters, is make this dua regularly. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa'. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from knowledge that does not benefit. There is no point in memorizing things and spitting them out on a test and getting a certificate or a plaque at the end, if that knowledge does not benefit me, if that knowledge does not transform me, if that knowledge does not make me more conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in my life. So always ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for protection from knowledge that does not benefit. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us all benefit from what He teaches us and increase us in knowledge. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallahu khair, Shaykh Asma, once again for this beautiful speech and everything that you do for the program. Could I please get a round of applause for our Shaykh? He, as he mentioned, takes part in the Marfa programs and the Falah programs. This isn't an advertisement, you're not paying me to say this, I promise. If you have the time to take these courses, whether you're an adult or you're coming out of Taqwa and looking for something to fill that gap, please consider joining Taqwa Seminary and taking part in these programs. I can testify to how amazing these are, and all of these graduates obviously can do the same. Once again, they're not paying me for this, but please consider doing so. Now, I would like to welcome our keynote speaker of this morning, Shaykh Kyle Smith. I have to do a bio first. No. Shaykh Kyle Smith is one of the instructors at Qalam Seminary, now located in Carrollton. They just got into a new campus. Check it out. He is one of their primary instructors. He's also the well-known author of a book many of us know, With the Heart in Mind, a book exploring the moral and emotional intelligence of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Please give a warm welcome to Shaykh Kyle Smith.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافع يا رب العالمين. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك وأغننا بفضلك عمن سواك يا واسع المغفرة. قال الله تعالى: يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجات. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevates the people of knowledge and the people of faith many levels. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in a well-established narration, he said that طلب العلم فريضة على كل Muslim, that seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every single Muslim or Muslimah. And so it's a great honor for me to be a part of this journey of yours and witnessing this stage that you're passing. I want to share a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and then I will share some personal accounts on the benefits of this knowledge that we're seeking. There's a well-known hadith where the Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّ مَثَلَ مَا بَعَثَنِي اللَّهُ بِهِ مِنَ الْهُدَى وَالْعِلْمِ. When you listen to this hadith, guys, I really want you to reflect on your own personal relationship with the revelation of the Prophet ﷺ. You know, when the Prophet ﷺ was passing away, Umar ibn Khattab was seen in this sad state. And someone asked him, like, are you sad because the Prophet ﷺ is leaving? And he says, yeah, I'm sad because of that, but that's not the primary thing. The thing that's making me sad is so long as he was living, we were constantly getting more and more and more. And the revelation was dropping like, like there's a new surah, Like, did you hear the new verse that was just revealed? No, what is it? Oh, you didn't hear? Go to the masjid, you'll hear. So when the Prophet was alive, any day you could come and you would hear there was a new verse that had been revealed, or a new surah that had been revealed. So when the Prophet ﷺ was passing away, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu was like, I'm not just sad because I'm losing the Prophet ﷺ, I'm sad because I'm missing that new, fresh revelation that was coming regularly. That knowledge that was coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so as I narrate this hadith to you, I want you to reflect on your own personal, everyone in this auditorium, everyone in this gym, reflect on your own personal relationship with the knowledge that the Prophet ﷺ was blessed with. In this narration, the Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّ مَثْلَ مَا بَعَثَنِي اللَّهُ بِهِ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ وَالْهُدَى. The example of the knowledge that God has given me, كَمَثَلِ غَيْثٍ, it's like a cloud. أَصَابَ أَرْضًا, that rained on a plot of land, some area. فَكَانَتْ طَائِفَةٌ طَيِّبَةٌ. Now, when the rain falls, there's different reactions in the ground to that rain. So the Prophet ﷺ, he says that there's one area of the land, طَائِفَةٌ طَيِّبَةٌ. It's a very fertile area of the land. Now, it's interesting that the Prophet ﷺ is referencing water and rain and land, because a seminary, if you look at the classic Latin root, a seminary is land that you use and you plant seeds in them. You plant seeds in them. And that's what a seminary is all about. It's all about planting the seeds of strong iman, so that what the roots of faith can set and the fruits of faith can be seen. That's what a seminary is all about. So the Prophet ﷺ, he says, there's a section of the land that is tayyiba. It's good land. Fertile. qabilat al-ma, it accepts the water. Remember the metaphor. Don't lose track of the metaphor. That water is what? What does that water represent? The revelation. The revelation coming down. And so the Prophet ﷺ is saying that when this revelation comes down, when this rainwater comes down, it reminds me, when we study hadith, we often use the word ruwiya, or rawa. And in Arabic, it actually means to satiate and get something to drink. But it's the same word for the narration of a prophetic narration to someone. because of how that knowledge nurtures the heart when you hear it. So the Prophet ﷺ says, فَقَبِلَتِ الْمَاءِ. So this one area of land, it soaked up the water. It soaked up the water. And what happened? فَانْبَعَتْ كَلَأ. A lot of vegetation grew. وَالْعُشَبْ كَثِيرًا. Plants, vegetation, flowers, fruits, and vegetables grew. So that's one category of land. It brought it in. And then what did it do? It brought forth something else for the rest of the community. This is one plot of land, but there's more. Then the Rasul ﷺ says, وَمِنْهَا أَجَادِبُ. And there's another section of the land that was dry. And أَمْسَكَتِ الْمَاءِ. It didn't absorb the water. It didn't absorb the water, it held the water. It didn't bring it in. It just held it. And فَنَفَعَ اللَّهُ بِهَا النَّاسِ فَشَرِبُوا مِنْهَا وَسَقَوْا وَزَرَعُوا. So because this water was stored, it was like a reservoir. So people can now go to that water and take the water that they need, and they could now irrigate from that water. They could use that water because this area of land did not absorb it and bring forth fruit, but at least it held it. It grabbed the knowledge and held it for other people. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, وَأَصَابَ طَائِفَةٌ مِنْهَا أُخْرَى. And the water that rained, it also hit another area of land. إِنَّمَا هِيَ قِيعَانٌ. The Prophet ﷺ says this land is completely barren land. لَا تُمْسِكُ الْمَاءِ. It doesn't hold the water. The knowledge that it gets, it doesn't hold it. The water it gets, it doesn't retain the water. And وَلَا تُنْبِئُ الْكَلَأَ. And it doesn't bring forth any vegetation at all. Now the Prophet's example is done. The parable is over. And now the Prophet ﷺ, he explains the parable for us. He says, مَثَلُ مَنْ فَقَهَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ. The example of the one who takes out time from their life to understand the religion of God. Takes out time from their life. You know, as we celebrate today the accomplishment of all of these men and women in this room, I think what we need to understand is the journey of knowledge is a journey of the self. When I accepted Islam 18 years ago, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, within the first 2 or 3 months, I was seated in a hifz class full time. First 3 months after accepting Islam, I got accepted into a Darul Uloom, and now I'm sitting in this hifz class. Now I'm sure all of you you can imagine a hifz class. You've seen classes of children doing hifz of Quran. And so I'm a 19-year-old young man, having just completed high school, about to go into college, who found Islam, and now I want to know more. And the first place I'm sitting down is at this little tapai, right? A little desk, you know what I mean? Right? That's it, right? I think I messed it up. No, not tapai. Whatever. Okay. A small desk. And around me are other children. 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 7-year-olds. And I'm sitting next to them, and the ustad is like, hello. Don't know what he's saying, but he's yelling and everyone's reading, so I guess I better read. Don't know how to read, don't know what to read, but everyone's making noise, so I'm going to make noise too. The ustad called me Idrajo. He doesn't know English, I don't know Urdu. We're going to make this relationship work somehow. You see what happened, I learned Urdu. But he calls me over, and then what does he do? He says, skip out, y'all. You see that little boy over there? Go sit in front of him, maybe his age. How old are you? 9 years old, perfect. So here I am, 19 years old, just graduated high school. When you're 19, you think you can conquer the world. You think you're the most intelligent being on the face of the earth. And there's nothing greater than you, na'udhu. But here I am sitting in front of an 8-year-old who says, Alif. I go, Alif. He goes, Ba. I say, Ba. He goes, no, Ba. I'm like, Ba. I say, Ba. I said it right, but he wants to show his strength. He's 9 years old. He wants to let me know who's boss. And so this 19-year-old, 20-year-old young man is sitting in front of a 9-year-old boy who's now teaching him Alif, Ba, Ta. The reason why many of us don't learn and don't study is because we cannot humble ourselves to sit in front of people way younger than us who Allah has blessed with knowledge. That's the only thing stopping us from that classroom. Imam Sab, make a separate class for me, please. I can't sit with them. Look, cat. They say that for other things too, right? What are people going to say? No. One of the things that learning knowledge is about, it's about learning the mizaj of knowledge, the temperament of knowledge. When Imam Malik was a very young boy, his mother sent him into the halaqah of Rabi'atul Ra'i. And she said to him, she would wrap the imamah around his head. And she said to him, don't go and learn knowledge, just go and watch his temperament. Just learn his adab. That's all you learn. Later you'll be ready to learn knowledge. So the mizaj that's necessary in order to learn ilm is humility. But it's so hard for us to conquer that. We call it ananiya, ana. The Arabic language is beautiful. The word ana, if we wrote it on a projector here, I want you to picture the word ana. Ana, you write an alif with a hamza, right? Picture it. Then you put a noon, and then you make a long line up, right? Picture it, right? And it sounds like you should say ana, right? Ana. And then the body does subs, he says, no, ana. You go, no, but it says ana. It's chup, ana. Be quiet, it's ana. And you go, okay, maybe I'm blind, ana. You know why they say? Because ana is me. And its Arabic language is teaching you, always make yourself smaller. Stop making yourself so big. So when you say me, you say ana. Not ana. Ana. Man. Me. No. Ana. SubhanAllah. So there's a temperament. That's why they say language neurologically changes who you are. Learning the Arabic language isn't about just learning the tongue. It's about a neurological changing of how you think. So language is far more deep than just the tongue. I was talking to Dr. Sam Ross yesterday, who teaches at TCU. He teaches Arabic and a few other studies. He says, man, when I speak Arabic, I'm a different person than when I speak English. And you know, if you speak Urdu, you're a different person when you speak that than when you speak English or any other language. So part of learning the language is actually changing a way of thinking inside you that's implicit in the language. It's absolutely amazing. So the Prophet ﷺ in this hadith that I'm sharing with you, he's explaining how everyone reacts to this knowledge. Let me continue with this narration. There were 3 different types of land, and there were different reactions. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, the first is the example of the one who takes out time to learn the religion. They learn it, they bring in the water, and then they give it back to the community. They give it back, they process the information, and then they make that accessible for other people. That's the first type of person. Then the Prophet ﷺ says, وَمَثَلُ مَنْ لَمْ يَرْفَعْ بِذَلِكَ رَأْسًا. Then the Prophet ﷺ says the second one is the one who did not يَرْفَعُ رَأْسًا, did not even lift up their head to this knowledge. Prophet ﷺ is explaining. The second category are people, they learn it, they preserve it, and pass it on. But there's other people who have just this amazing intellectual capacity. So they learn it and bring forth something extra. The one that we don't want to be, brothers and sisters, are people who never allow themselves to be humble and sit and learn the knowledge of the deen. That's what we really have to, that's what we're celebrating here. You humbled yourselves for all of this time to learn that knowledge. Regardless of age, mashallah, the spectrum is beautiful. The spectrum is beautiful. We have the youngest of the youngs and the mature of the mature. I'll say mature, right? I don't want to get in trouble. We're all young, right? MashaAllah. Imam Sheikh Arsalan, he made a reference to Imam Ahmed. And I want to share this with you because it gives you perspective as graduates of where you're at right now, and it also encourages those who are just listening. In Imam Ahmed's time, it was a time of intellectualism. There were major caliphate orders that had been started in order to make Baghdad a city of learning. I mean, it was a sight to see Baghdad at its prime. Do research on it. The round city of Baghdad, it was beautiful. They were naming cities, streets of the scholar that lived on the street. So they were doing whatever they could do to bring in scholarship from around the entire Islamic empire to Baghdad. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahimahullah ta'ala was in Baghdad. At that time, again, it was a time of learning and education. And so when you were a young student of knowledge, we're talking young, then wherever you went, you always carried an ink pot with you. Always. An ink pot and a pen. So that you could always take notes. Because writing, they go in kitabatuha, Imam Shafi says the way that you capture knowledge, al-ilmu sayyidu. Knowledge is like a prey that you hunt. Wal-kitabatu qayduha. Writing is how you grab that knowledge, take notes, right? So when you were a young student at the time of Imam Ahmed, you always carried what with you? A pen and an ink pot. Always. But when you reach certain levels, I mean, Imam Ahmed, he memorized hundreds of thousands of hadith. So after a certain point, there's no need for this ink pot anymore. Their memories were very sharp. And it was at a time when they actually looked for memory was a thing that was sought after. And Imam Sheikh Arsalan can tell you so many stories of the memory of the likes of Bukhari and others. Absolutely phenomenal. Can I share one? Imam Bukhari, he had this insane, sick memory. Insane. So people had heard about his memory. And they're like, it's probably just people talking, hyping up, So he came to one city and they tested him. And what they did was they read 100 hadith to him. Now, bear with me for the intellectual part. When we say hadith, we don't just mean the words of the Prophet, we actually mean the chain before them. Okay? So every hadith has a chain of people that narrates, and that's a beautiful thing about our Islam. Absolutely phenomenal. So whenever we say hadith in that context, we don't just mean what the Prophet ﷺ said, we actually mean the chain. You with me, everyone? Okay. So what they did was they recited 100 hadith to him. Hadith chain and the words. And when they were done reciting 100, in one sitting, they said, Imam Bukhari, Imam, your memory is so great. Tell us about these 100 hadith. So after they said each one, he would say to them, I don't know that hadith. I don't know that hadith. They would say first hadith, he goes, I don't know that hadith. I don't know that hadith. I don't know that hadith. They finished 100 and they look around, they say, see, he doesn't know any hadith. He goes, excuse me, 1 second. I don't know any of those hadith because you mixed up purposefully the actual words in the chain. Now I will tell you what you said, and I will correct each one. He narrated all 100 back properly to them. In 100 hadith. In that gathering. With the proper chain. Allahu Akbar. A year later, he was visiting the same town. They said, do you remember last year what happened? He said, of course I do. They said, do you remember the hadith? He said, I can narrate all 100 hadith that you said to me and that I said back to you from last year. He narrated all that. Yeah, this is the memory, the type of memory that they had. Allahu Akbar. So the reason I was bringing that up is Imam Ahmed, he no longer needed this ink pot. But he would walk around all the time with this ink pot. And it's like a kid, a bacha walking around with his Nurani qaida. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. You're walking around with your Nurani qaida. Like that, imagine that. So after a while, one man, he sees him and he says, Ya Aba Abdullah. He had two sons, Abdullah and Salih. He says, Ya Aba Abdullah, how long are you going to be walking around with this ink pot? Like you're, in the, what is the first one? Like you're still in the Rufqa program. It's all good, it's all good. How long are you going to be carrying that ink pot? And that's where Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, he said the words that Sheikh Arsalan shared with us. He said, Ma'al mahbarati ila al-maqbarati. He says, I'm going to be carrying this ink pot until I'm in the grave. I am dedicated to learning. I am dedicated to learning. Why? Why such dedication? Because of what Sheikh Arsalan said, brothers and sisters, the beginning of revelation of this ummah. After 600 years of no revelation, darkness, a gap between Jesus and Muhammad, after 600 years of silence from the divine realm, the very first word is read. And that one word inspires an educational revolution, which we are still benefiting from today. The greatest Islamic institutes of education, the universities, were the universities of Baghdad in the Golden Era. We were the inspiration of education and learning. All from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. But what is the purpose of knowledge? Because of our current educational systems and objectives, we often gauge knowledge by how much it will make us. If you don't believe me, tell your mother you want a liberal arts degree. Try it. See what happens. Do you think I'm going to spend this much money for you to get yebakwas? Do you think you can do that in your part-time? Liberal arts all you want? Come on now. Okay, so we need to make some money here. So our objective in learning is quite different here. The objective is knowing God. The objective of all of this education is to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you know why? Our society likes to differentiate between a white-collar crime and a blue-collar crime. And the only difference between the two in reality is a degree. I'm going to say that again. I don't think it registered with everyone. In our society, we differentiate between two types of immorality. White-collar, blue-collar. For us, immoral is an immoral, regardless of how educated you are. Doctor, engineer, lawyer, cashier, delivery man, plumber. They make good money nowadays. Plumber. Immorality is immorality. The objective of knowledge is to enlighten the human being. But from the Renaissance, we learned knowledge is power. has a root with the word alam, which means to impress, a sign on something. Your knowledge is supposed to impress something upon you. It's not just for book smarts. It's to change who you are. It's to change who you are. Sheikh Arsalan also mentioned that one of the beautiful things of knowledge, when gained properly, is it makes you aware of something. Imam Ghazali says there are 4 types of people. Ar-rijalu arba'a. Ar-rijalu arba'a. He says, رجل لا يدري. رجل, let's start with يدري. رجل يدري. ويدري أنه يدري. Number 1 is a person who knows. And they know what they know. فَذَلِكَ عَالِمٌ فَاتَّبِعُهُ. That is a scholar, follow that person. Number 2. وَرَجُلٌ يَدْرِي وَلَا يَدْرِي أَنَّهُ يَدْرِي. A person who has knowledge, they know, but they don't know what they know. فَذَلِكَ نَائِمٌ. That person is asleep. Wake them up. وَرَجُلٌ لَا يَدْرِي وَيَدْرِي أَنَّهُ لَا يَدْرِي. The third person is someone who doesn't know, but knows they don't know. فَذَلِكَ طَالِبٌ. That's a student. Teach this person. In the last category, وَرَجُلٌ لَا يَدْرِي وَلَا يَدْرِي أَنَّهُ لَا يَدْرِي. Person who doesn't know, they don't know that they don't know. Imam Ghazali says that person is dangerous. Stay away from him. Stay away from him. What we have accomplished here is everyone is now number 3. People who know, don't know, and know they don't know. Wait, all this time, 7 years of studying, you're telling me all I've gained is knowledge of my ignorance? Yeah. It's simple. When you go to the ocean, you realize how small Louisville Lake is. Right? But if you've never been to the ocean, you're like, oh, Casa under there. It looks so big. Oh, what is this? Go to the ocean, you're like, oh man, I don't know nothing. I've never seen a body of water before. That's the example. You've sat long enough to realize, oh, there's a samandar, there's a bah out there. And I'm going to start swimming. And inshallah, by the time I leave this world, I'll still be swimming. I'll still be swimming. There's no end to the knowledge. That's why you have to start right away. Just start. Why do we have these graduations, Sheikh, if you're telling me there's no end? Well, they're nice. We get to dress up and stuff. Take pictures. We get to dress up and stuff. But it's a journey. It's just, the Prophet ﷺ says there's 2 people who are never satiated. Someone who loves money and someone who loves knowledge. I'd rather be the second one. No matter how much money you make, yo, you can double it to the moon. Diamond hands. Man, my jokes, only a few people get there. I'm not done. So the point I was trying to make is that, yes, it's a journey. It's a journey. And so even when you reach Ma'rifah, like now they're more thirsty than ever to learn more. Now they really want to learn. You're like, wow, what are you going to do now? You're like, I'm going to study. They're going to literally ask Sheikh Arslan, what's the next class? And we're like, you know, there's an institute called Qalam up the street. Shameless plug with no shame. Qalam Institute. Make dua for us, please. Very important time in Qalam's institutional well-being. Make dua for us, please. So, congratulations. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all that you have done. For the middle school students, you're very blessed. Because at this age, there's questions that you have about Allah, about Prophet, about Deen, about all these things. weed a lot. That means take out the weed. Okay. The weeds. Sorry. What? You have to take out the weeds. If you wait too long, those weeds grow roots. And now I have to use pesticide, herbicide, whatever. I have to do all of these things. But when it was small, if I literally just plucked that little thing out, it would have been great. As an imam, the thing that frustrates me the most is when a father or mother brings their daughter or son after that weed, that seed of a doubt has set and festered for 5 years or so. Just like the doctor that says, if you had come a little bit earlier, right? So what happens here is beautiful. Whatever they see, hear, whatever doubts that come, they're immediately able to take care of that. It's beautiful. Alhamdulillah. So congratulations to all of the graduating classes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow you to continue on this journey. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward those who were here in the beginning days. Because to build a community, you need people that will plant trees, the shade of which they will never ever sit under. So the fruit that we're seeing today is from a tree planted by someone who maybe not even living. Maybe they passed away from the community, I don't know. Some, there you go. They planted a seed, a tree, and we're literally picking the fruit, seeing the fruit from that tree. So true communities are built by people that are not selfish, but plan for the future. Plan for the future. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to bless our teachers. I was really touched because it didn't dawn on me until he mentioned their names. Fatima and Jasmine. Two teachers. But they're my students at Keynote. So I'm your teacher. It's beautiful. The knowledge, the chain of knowledge. And we're all just linking back to Prophet Muhammad. We're all just trying to get on that chain. That's it. I just want my name on that chain. I want to be part of that crew, that cool crew that can connect themselves back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all students of knowledge. Everyone in this room, regardless of your age. Take classes, learn. Humble yourself. Sit next to that 9-year-old. It's no big deal. Humble yourself. Become a student. So that when you are resurrected on the day of judgment, you can say, Ya Allah, I was a student of knowledge. I was trying to be one of those scholars that you love so much. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. Jazakumullahu khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Just a quick round of applause for Sheikh Keynote. I genuinely don't think there's ever been a time where he's finished speaking and my mind just wasn't absolutely blown. But a lot of jokes there, though. The diamond anyone's heard in particular.
Hold on.
It hurt. I messed up.
Don't worry, hold on.
Yeah. Now we're going to have our student presentations. A member of each of the graduating classes will be presenting a speech, and we will be starting with our Ukra class. And the sister presenting will be Sister Mahia Shahid. Mahia Shahid is an incoming freshman at Jasper High School. She has memorized 12 juz of the Quran, and she is a Red Stripe Girl Scout. Please welcome Sister Mahia Shahid.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
respected scholars, teachers, families, graduates, and attendees. Like mentioned, my name is Mufti Shahid. I'm lucky to have been in the Rufqa program since 6th grade, and alhamdulillah, I'm finally graduating. Before anything else, I'd like to thank all my teachers, the teacher assistants, volunteers, and administration for making this all possible. The fact that they were able to make Rufqa a success, even under the circumstances of the past year with the pandemic and everything, is truly amazing. I'm especially grateful to all my teachers for all the hard work and effort that they put in. Sheikh Huzair, Sister Fatima, and all my other teachers have been very encouraging, helpful, and I've genuinely enjoyed being their student. In this program, throughout the years, I've learned about various different topics, some of which include Tahdib al-Akhlaq, Sirah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Islamic history, Hadith, and self-purification. Of course, there's no benefit in learning about something if you don't act upon it. In Rufqa, I've not just learned more about Islam, but also have started to become a better Muslim. For example, I remember in one of my classes, we went over Hadith, which said, Ad-du'a mukhtar ibadah, which means dua is the essence of worship. We discussed the importance of making dua and how it establishes a stronger connection between a person and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So after discussing this, I realized it was something that I was lacking in. So I tried to make dua a more regular part of my life. Another thing I feel has benefited me greatly is the Islamic history classes I took. I learned about the trials and tribulations of the Prophet ﷺ, the stories of the Sahaba and the origins of Islam. I was surprised to learn just how much these heroes of Islam were willing to sacrifice for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, Musab ibn Umair grew up in a wealthy home with a rich family, but after he converted, his mother banished him, and all that he had left was Islam. And years later, when he passed away, he didn't even have enough clothing to cover his whole body for burial. This made me realize that in comparison to the early Muslims, we have lost nothing, we have sacrificed nothing, and yet we complain so much. One of my favorite parts about Rufqa was workshop. In workshop, we discussed practical issues such as body image, peer pressure, and social media. I found these lessons to be very useful because they help me overcome the challenges that we as Muslims face in schools and other public places. Throughout my years here, I've learned more about Islam and also have started to implement changes into my own life. I've come to appreciate the struggles that early Muslims went through for our sakes, and also learned what it means to be a Muslim today and how to be. Overall, Rufqa has been a wonderful experience for me, and inshallah I will join Sukhba next year in continuing my journey to becoming a better Muslim. To all who are considering enrolling in Rufqa, I would encourage you to join because, like I've said, from my experience, it has proved to be very beneficial. And to those who are not yet considering it, I urge you to give it a try because I believe you will be a changed person afterwards. Lastly, I would like to congratulate everyone who is graduating here today. You may have come a long way, but I would like you to remember that their journey to Allah continues. Thanks for the opportunity. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Sister Mahdi, for such a wonderful speech. That was really good. Next, we have a member of our Sukhma program, Brother Saad Ahmed. Hafiz Saad Ahmed is an 11th grader at Keynote Senior High School. He completed the memorization of the Quran from the IACC program in 2019. He's also a student of the Taqwa Arabic program and is a blue belt in Taekwondo. Please welcome Brother Saad Ahmed.
respected scholars, teachers, parents, students, and attendees. Alhamdulillah, I was given the chance to come up here today to represent my class. Let's see how that goes. Over the 2 years that we were in this program, we covered topics over various different Islamic fields, including fiqh, aqidah, tazkiyah, and tafsir. These classes helped us deal with problems that we face in our daily lives and helped us, in general, improve our Islam. For example, the Shy and Doubts class, it helped us as high school youth deal with problems that we faced in school or our friend circles, covering topics such as atheism, theodicy, and LGBT that you don't really see many people talking about. So, all in all, the class helped answer a lot of our questions and concerns about those topics. I'm grateful for having taken this. In tafsir, we understood the difference between reciting a surah normally and doing so while understanding what it is that we're reciting. That, along with the intricacies of salah that we covered in our fiqh class, helped me improve my salah, and I'm sure the other students had similar experiences as well. And tazkiyah, we learned things that help bring us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this class, we learned how to purify our hearts from the sins that we commit. Sometimes we're not even going on a daily basis. And we are able to purify our hearts so that the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Quran, Salah, can come inside and we can come closer to Him, inshallah. We didn't just do classwork in Taqwa, we also got involved in the community. For example, things like visiting the cemetery or volunteering for the community or just other things along the way. Soba would really want to have been possible without the people behind it, the help and run it. And for that, on behalf of our class, I would like to thank our teachers, Sheikh Arsalan, I am Secretary, but Mufti Wasi, Imam Mazhar, Sister Fatima, Imam Sajid. I think there were many guest speakers as well. I'd also like to thank Sister Zeba and then the Sohba team. They worked hard to manage the class, make the quizzes, keep attendance in check. So they put a lot of work into it, and it's thanks to their work that the program ran so smoothly. Finally, I'd like to congratulate my class for reaching this point. We worked hard to get here, and we had those ups and downs along the way. I hope that you continue on learning throughout your lives, because as a teacher of mine once said, this isn't the end, it's just the beginning. Thank you for having me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Please, one more round of applause for the side. I remember being in issues in 2016. It's honestly like a lifetime ago. It was nice. It was nice. Because you think you're done, and then it's like, oh, you have Marfa, oh, you have Falah, and it's just an endless, like we said, it's a sea of knowledge. You just have to keep swimming. Keep going. Now we are going to welcome a brother from the Marfa program, Brother Hamza Iqbal. 1 second. All right. Hamza completed memorization of the Quran at IACC in 2014. He just graduated from UT Dallas with a Bachelor's of Science and Computer Studies early this year. Please welcome Brother Hamza Iqbal.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Allahumma akhrijna min dhulumat al-wahm wa akrimna bi nur al-fahm وافتح علينا بمعرفة العلم وحسن أخلاقنا بالعلم واجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. And I'm sure that the dua is recited Arsalan recited every single time at the beginning of every single class. And I felt that it was very, it was just something I should do. Now, I was, with that introduction, I didn't really want an introduction, but alhamdulillah, it happened. It just, through the Ma'rifah program, as Sheikh Hassan mentioned, the aims of the Ma'rifah program, the first one was to learn how little we know. And I can say for sure, after all those exams in Islamic legal theory, I can confirm that I know none. And I'm sure that the students and the Sunnah students, they also have experienced Sheikh Arslan's quizzes and can confirm the same. The Arabic class had Taqwa, so they got away with it a little bit. Alhamdulillah, after listening to the words of Sheikh Arslan and Sheikh Mikhail, I had some reflections in my head. I wrote a transcript on the phone that I knew I would never follow. I actually offered to send it to Sheikh Arslan before, and thankfully he said no need because I probably would have followed it anyways. But what Sheikh Mikhail, alhamdulillah, I really appreciated every single clip he had in Urdu because it's like the efforts of his help stuff really rubbed off on me. I felt like he was more Pakistani than I am. But it reminded me of my time when I was in this class. And the lessons I learned, maybe I didn't realize when I was young back then. Because I started off part-time here at IACC, and this is where I began my days. A long, long time ago, when this gym was not here, and there were rocks, it was a parking lot. And I actually had the honor to watch the masjid being built while I was sitting in the masjid. And reciting Quran and standing up in the corner whenever I got punished by the Al-Bisab, and writing lines, and standing in the corner of this very gym when I got in trouble. But all those moments where, and now I remember because the way that you learn from his class, it really doesn't. Because you think you know something, especially when you're really young. When you're really young, you think you know what's happening. You memorize the juz, you memorize a couple dizinatri of the Quran. So, and maybe you took out some time to learn a little bit about your religion. But when you are doing something like helping Brother Haki clean, just doing that, and Brother Haki throughout that time was always here in the service of the masjid, and being with him and doing that really humbles you. But also to see other students who are younger than you, just like Sheikh Mikhail said, just like that. For example, one of them, I took 3 years to memorize. One of them had photographic memory, mashallah, and he finished in 1 year. And seeing that, to go there and appreciate that, that really shows you that there are people who are more capable than you, that know more than you, and really drives you to take on that journey to learn more. Not to defeat yourself, not to be self-defeating. When you see other people successful, it's something that inspires you to do more. And that also is what we learned in Ma'rifah as well. It's not that we learned about the scholars when I graduated, when I finished my hifz. They told us that this is just the first step. And that's very true. You finish hifz, mashallah, but do you know what it means? Do you know how to practice it? Do you know once you become a hafiz, how to act with that thing that's in your heart that is now your responsibility? And that's why it's so important that I feel like the cassette recorder in my heart will continually repeat Sheikh Aslan's words. I said cassette recorder, that means a little but what Sheikh Aslan said, which were the words of Abu Darda as well, where he fears the questioning of what he did with his knowledge. And it just, when you have that on you, when you learn all of this knowledge, ways in which you need to learn, the ways in which you need to improve, the ways in which you need to look at yourself that helps you realize that what you learned isn't what you're here to use for debating other people, for going after other people and not realizing, as Sheikh Nabil mentioned, that Imam Ghazali mentioned the 4 people, correct? And the last one doesn't know that they know. And unfortunately, sometimes we can go to these classes and we can learn, but we still don't realize that we don't know that we don't know. But when we see the likes of Imam Bukhari, when we see the likes of Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, and you're a Hafiz, for example, then you realize what a Hafiz is. Because you memorize the Quran, you're happy that you finished revising the Quran in, like, let's say 1 month, 2 months. You're like, yes, I did actually. That was awesome, right? I learned Tarawih in Ramadan. But then you hear about the scholars who used to finish the Quran every night. The Sahaba, Uthman radiallahu anhu, for example. Just all of them finishing it. That Allah bless their time because of their dedication to this religion, to Islam and knowledge. And you can see it in their character. And because of that, when we learn, it's so important for us, and I think that part of the ma'rifah that really helped us was what we learned are these things that we can do, we can apply in our lives. So it could be basic. For example, you're talking about the fiqh version. So you understand how to pray. You understand how to purify yourself. You understand some of the things about zakat. You understand some of the things about fasting and hajj. So you can do those things and follow them properly. But then you also study tazkiyah. You also know the heart of worship. Why you're praying, what you're saying when you're praying, and what it means. Not just what it means when you're thinking about what it means, but what it means here. And also, it allows you to reflect on your own character. As the Prophet ﷺ said, you can be and Sheikh Hassan correct me if I say this one. But he said that I was sent to perfect character, that's being sent for. And unfortunately, for myself and many of us, we forget that part. But we remember the knowledge, we remember, well, this is haram, this is halal. But we don't know how to look at ourselves and understand ourselves, be aware of ourselves, and try to become more like the Prophet ﷺ and learn from him, his character. Which is why from the Tasbiyah course, it gave us that way to look at ourselves and understand what kind of things there are that we can improve upon. Whether it's blameworthy characteristics, and this is something that I wanted to, I had a whole transcript and everything. If I followed it, then I think it would have been a little bit more mechanical than the way I feel right now. But some of the things I was thinking about were the advice that Sheikh Hassan gave us in our last class. And I wanted to leave off with some of the advice that I want to reflect on for myself as well. So some of the pitfalls of somebody who learns: ostentation, envy, jealousy, partisanship. And if you think about it, unfortunately, this is something we all might have something in a way that we fall for these days. It's important to keep ourselves in that mindset, to keep ourselves with that understanding of where we are, that we know very little, and we should know how much we don't know. Also, I think that it's important, something that I've taken away is that to continue learning, part of it's also to review what you've already done. Whether it's your hifz, which is obviously what you have to review consistently throughout your life, but also with anything else you learn. And looking back at your notes, maybe you could take what you've written into a digital format, and maybe at some point, inshallah, take that, put it in your heart, and have it memorized as well. But to review what you've learned in all those different things you've learned, whether it's Arabic, whether it's Aqidah or Sirah, whatever topic it is. And to ask questions, if you still have them, don't be afraid to ask those questions. Just because you have passed through all these classes doesn't mean that you know everything. As Sheikh Raslan mentioned, even Imam Malik would say, Allah Ta'ala, as many of the scholars do at the end of the books. So ask questions and continue to connect with your teachers. And this is all advice I give myself, first and foremost. And to continue to pursue knowledge and whatever opportunities there are, and to do our best to give justice to what we learn in our own practice, in our own character, and in the way we interact with the world. And I would like to conclude by asking for dua from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for our teachers, Sheikh Raslan, for all those teachers that we had, the staff that had for our Arabic program, the teachers for the Rafa and Club program, and all the programs that we have here at Taqwa Seminary. And for the staff, I know Sister Maya and Brother Hakim working very hard, and all those who work behind the scenes. Ask Allah reward them for their efforts and bless them. And I ask that Allah have mercy on us and allow us to truly have benefit from the knowledge that we learn, and to truly bring justice to what we have learned. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah, Brother Hamza, for just enjoying the speech. I think anyone who has taken a class with Sheikh Raslan, I know I can speak from experience. As long as you ask questions or try to answer questions, you get humbled really, really quickly. You realize how much you don't know really fast. Finally, we will have a graduate from the Arabic program present a speech. A graduate from the Arabic program is Sister Zara Hassan. Zara Hassan is a junior at Centennial High School. She has been a part of the Taqwa Arabic program since 8th grade and has completed the intermediate level. Please welcome Sister Zara Hassan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How is everybody today? Good. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so I guess I'll just get started. Welcome everybody. My name is Zuri, and alhamdulillah, I just completed the intermediate level of the Arabic language program. I'd explain what we do, but it's pretty self-explanatory. We got the ins and outs of the Arabic language. So I thought I'd tell you about my experience with the program and why I think it's just really beneficial program and really awesome. So I started the summer of my 8th grade year. Mama and Baba told me like a week before I started that I'd be attending Arabic classes at the masjid, and I'm kind of ashamed of it, but my first reaction was, why are you guys trying to ruin my summer? I didn't want to do anything, I wanted to just relax. I thought I deserved it after working so hard over 7th grade. But I don't know what I was thinking. And then I was also one of those people who got pretty nervous easily whenever I didn't know the answer to something, and I would get pretty embarrassed for it. So I knew next to nothing about Arabic. I didn't know anything, so I was pretty nervous. But come my first day of class, and I didn't hate it. So then eventually the summer passed by, and I liked it more and more each day that I came. And by the end of the summer, I was the one asking my parents, hey, can I sign up for the next level of the class? And then I continued throughout my 8th grade year. I had to stop before high school because I had a lot more of a workload. I had extra clubs, I had Taqwa, I had all these other programs that I had to worry about. So I thought maybe I'd take a break with Arabic and kind of focus on some like those smaller selection of activities and do well on those. But then I probably would have forgotten about it, but alhamdulillah, I saw Ustad Fahad again at my friend's brother's Khatm Quran, and he asked me if I was interested in continuing with the Arabic program by reviewing the first half and then finishing the intermediate level during the spring semester, and I thought, yes, I'd like to do that. So both me and my parents were both pretty stuff about all these other things that I had to do. But I really wanted to keep going with this program. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a really big struggle. A lot of times I would stay up until 1 in the morning and all I wanted to do was go to sleep afterwards, but I had Arabic homework to finish afterwards. So then, a lot of times I would ask myself, why was I struggling so much? Why was I making myself do this? What was the point? But eventually I read this ayah in the Quran and I realized I knew most of the translation without having to look it up. I knew it from my head. And that kind of blew me away because a lot of times when I read Quran, I was really passive and would kind of go in through one ear, out the other. And I didn't really understand what I was reading, but now I would be actively looking for words that I knew, sentence structures that I knew, and it was a lot more interactive and I had so much more fun doing it. So alhamdulillah about that. And then I've told you a little bit like how I started, why I started, and then like how I kept going. So I thought I'd tell you why I like this program in particular compared to the other options that we had. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't understand why I liked this program so much until Ustad Fahad told us something last week. He said when it comes to this class, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And that kind of hit me because in school it's always focused about the journey, getting the good grades, focusing on the numbers, getting a good rank. But when it came to this program, it was so focused on learning, where the destination being learning Arabic. And the journey is going to have ups and downs, but as long as you get to the destination, it's okay. And then that just kind of made a lot of sense as to why I like this program so much. So then, sorry about that. So that just kind of made a lot of sense to me because at school it was always so focused on the grades and everything. I mentioned that. But when it came to this class, it was always focused on learning, on getting the information in our head, applying it, and kind of using that information, which was such a different experience than what I've normally been given. And I just really liked that. And I also felt it was so focused on bouncing back from your mistakes. Like in school, when you make a mistake, you get embarrassed by the teacher. You can't move a muscle in that class for a whole week because you're scared that you're going to get humiliated again. But I never really felt that way in that program, and it was very like a breath of fresh air, I guess. And another thing about the program that I really, really liked was the classroom environment. There was never ever a sense of competition. It was always cooperative. We would always work together because we always had the same goal, being as fluent as we possibly could in Arabic. So that just made it a lot better because I was so used to stress and competition and anxiety. I guess that's all I really have to say about the program, but I just wanted to end off by saying thank you, Jazakallahu khairan, to my parents for trying to ruin my summer. Jazakallahu khairan to Ustad Fahad and everyone who made this program possible. I really enjoyed it, and I don't know how I would have survived my sophomore year of high school without it. And Jazakallahu khairan to all of you guys for listening to me. May Allah bless you all. Amen.
And Jazakallah to all the students who gave their remarks. You can tell from all of their separate and unique stories that each program that this budget has to offer has something for everyone here and everyone outside of here as well. So now we're going to begin the certificate presentation ceremony. So just hang tight. students could please stand, and if the Rukna sisters could please make their way first. Yeah, come to this side. Aisha Salman. Aliyah Kamar. Ariba Fatma. Atifa Basha. Fatima Shakir. Hiba Sayyid. Mahdia Shahid. Manal Mehari. Maryam Sayyid. Maryam Mekari. When you're walking up, if you want to take off your mask for like your family so they can take a picture, feel free to do so. Just make sure to stay out afterwards. Maryam Balkora. Joseba Afrani. Radia Sheikh. Sakina Shah. Samira Mahmood. Zunari Munisa. And now for the Rukna boys. Abdullah Ahmed. Adnan Hassan. Farhan Ahmed. Hamza Rafiq. Ibrahim Qazi. Imran Qureshi. Omar Khan. Rees Amir. Ridwan Mahmood. Sayyid Tabi. Omar Khayyat. Please one more round of applause for our Rukna students. All the Sufa students, could please rise. And if the Sufa girls could make movie to the front, please. Hamida Rahim. Aiza Gafar. Aisha Nadeem. Amina Sayyid. Asra Yusuf. Huda Mustafa. Iman Khan. Isra Laila Naqvi. Maika Mazumdar. Manal Ansar. Manha Hab. Manha Nadeem. Maria Usmani. Maryam Ahmed. Maryam Ansari. Sumaya Hussein. Zahra Mahmood. Zainab Chaudhry. Zareen Hassan. Now for some young men. Ahmed Yusuf. Saad Ahmed. Syed Trevor. Zaid Muhammad. Zaid Muhammad. Please, one more big round of applause for all of us. If the Marvel students could please stand up, and if the sisters could please make their way here. Aisha Madragu. Hasina Akhtar. Mahbooba Chaudhry. Maliha Haq. Marisa Mahmood. Sabiha Sheikh. Shahnaz Sheikh. Now for Omar Rahman. Ahmed Wajid. Asif Rashid. Hamza Iqbal. Irfan Jafri. Muhammad Anisur Rahman. Omar Rao. And last but certainly not least, Brother Manzoor Mahmood. He's going right back to work. Look at him. Wow, mashallah. Of course.
I'm so happy with Brother Manzoor's accomplishment. In many of our cultures, for leaders to be as educated in Islam as possible is very popular, to show they know nothing about Islam. And we're showing that in American Islam, leaders of the community can know and study the deen as well, and be leaders of knowledge and the community. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept.
Well, what I wanted to say is that my wife and my daughter also is graduating with me today. So, these two people has influenced me tremendously, but there's one brother, Brother Zaid Nuruddin, he would come and push me every day. He said, Brother Manzoor, go ahead, take this course. I said, man, you're out of your mind. I have so many things to do. I have to set up tables and chairs, make sure I I get to learn a few things. I don't have time. Then he said, please, please. And he used to call me big brother, and please see if he can make it. So I invited him today. He came, but he left. So I just wanted to remember this brother because he had a big influence. And last but not the least, there's one khutbah by Sheikh Arsalan, and that inspired me, saying that you'll be always busy, but you need to make time. And my dear brother Haki, he told me, Brother Mansoor, there is no time like present time. Jazakallah khairan.
If all the Arabic students would please stand, and if the sisters could make their way to the front, please. Asia Chodri. Aisha Farhan. Iman Sayyid. Hafsa Chaudhry. Sabrina Maharaj. Sania Mazumdar. Zainab Muhammad. Zareen Hassan. Arshad Mazumdar. Bilal Moon. Fahim Muhammad Ali. Fareed Ahmed Jamal. Hamid Farhan. Muhammad Abbasi. Saad Ahmed. Saad Alam. Samin Rahman. Sayyid Musanna. Taheen Muhammad Ali. Ibar Muhammad. Yasin Butu. That concludes the certificate ceremony. If we could please get another round of applause for all of the learners. And now to close our ceremony this morning, I'd like to invite Sheikh Raslan back to say a few words and close this program out with some dua.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Actually, Mufti Wasim was scheduled to do this part, but he's not feeling well. Please remember him in your dua. He sends his duas for all of the graduating students and congratulates all of you. I'm going to ask Sheikh Mikhail to close this ceremony with a dua. But before I give it to him, I just want to, from the bottom of my heart, express gratitude for everybody who is working behind the scenes to make this a successful program and to make this event a reality. I'm sure you can appreciate, brothers and sisters, that to hold an event like this after the pandemic from which we are just coming out, it hasn't been easy. We haven't had an event like this in the masjid in a long time. So it was a lot of hard work, a lot of last-minute preparations, and I would like to request from all of you to make dua for all the brothers and sisters who have worked behind the scenes. Starting with the brothers in the Shura, then everybody who is part of the various teams that are part of Taqwa Seminary, the team lead, the Marifa team, the Suhba team, the Rufqa team, and the Falah team, and the Arabic program. Everybody that is involved in these programs, there are many volunteers. It is going to be impossible for me to name all of them without forgetting somebody. So I'm not going to do that. Allah knows who they are, and that is the most important thing. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward each and every one of you, brother and sister, who have been working behind the scenes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the best of rewards in this world and in the hereafter. May Allah bless you in your family, in your wealth, in your health, in your rizq, in your children, in your dunya and in your akhirah. Thank you so much. And I would also like to make mention that there are obviously some students that could not make it to the event. We are live streaming the event and they are in our hearts. Their names were printed on the program, their certificates are here, and inshallah they will come and pick these up. But there are some other students that are no longer with us, that passed away in the past few years. Sister Gulshan, Sister Aisha. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on their souls. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enter them into the gardens of paradise. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make their families a sadaqah jariyah. They are in our hearts, they are in our prayers, and we hope to meet them in the best of abodes in the afterlife. Ameen, Ya Rabbal Alameen. And with that, I'll hand it over to Sheikh Mikhail.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma laka alhamdu kullu, wa laka shukru kullu, wa ilayka yarju al-amru kullu, alaniyata wa sirru, لك الحمد حتى ترضى ولك الحمد إذا رضيت ولك الحمد بعد الرضا. اللهم لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. جزا الله عنا محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Ya Allah, we ask you to accept what we have learned, Ya Allah, in these years, Ya Allah. We ask you to put barakah in the knowledge that we have learned, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, we ask you to use us for the work of your deen and to accept that work that we do, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, we are ever grateful to you, Ya Allah, for allowing us, Ya Allah, to sit in these blessed circles of knowledge, Ya Allah. We are forever grateful to you, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, we ask you to never deprive us from sitting in these blessed circles of knowledge, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, we ask you to make the knowledge that we have learned a means of hidayah for ourselves, Ya Allah. Make it a means for us to gain your pleasure, Ya Allah. Make it a means for us to be resurrected next to your beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ya Allah, secondly, we ask you to make this knowledge a means of hidayah for our families, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, make this knowledge a means for our families, Ya Allah, to be guided, Ya Allah, a means for them to gain your pleasure, Ya Allah, and a means for them to be resurrected, ma'a habibika, with your beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ya Allah, lastly, we ask you to make this knowledge that we have learned a means for the guidance of this entire community, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, use us, Ya Allah, to spread this knowledge, Ya Allah. Use us, Ya Allah, to teach others, Ya Arhamar Rahimin. Ya Allah, we ask you to increase our knowledge, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, give us more understanding of this deen, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, we ask you to give us knowledge that will remove all of the darkness of ignorance from our hearts, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, we ask you to make us humble students of knowledge, Ya Allah. Make us humble students of knowledge, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, we ask you to make whatever we did, Ya Allah, purely for your pleasure only, Ya Allah. No other motivations, no ulterior motives except your pleasure, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, in gaining your pleasure, Ya Allah, on the day of judgment, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask you to guide and accept the efforts of all of our teachers, Ya Allah. The countless hours that they have put into teaching us, preparing their lessons, Ya Allah. All of the volunteers, Ya Allah. Everyone who played a part, Ya Allah. In any way, we ask you to put it on their scales on the day of judgment, Ya Allah. Give them the barakah and blessing from everything that we learn and everything that we teach, Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Ya Allah, we ask you to bring after us a generation of scholars and educated Muslims who will be a means of guidance, Ya Allah, for this entire country, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask you to accept us, Ya Allah. Forgive our shortcomings, Ya Allah. Forgive those who have passed away on this journey of knowledge, Ya Allah, and resurrect them, Ya Allah, amongst the sulaha and the ulama, the scholars of the deen, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, give us the tawfiq to be students, Ya Allah, from the beginnings of our life to the last moments of our life, Ya Allah. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun ala al-mursalin, walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Birahmatihi.
To both Sheikh Raslan and Sheikh Meredith Smith for our closing remarks and dua. With that, our ceremony is concluded. Feel free to meet with the graduates, take pictures, enjoy this day, celebrate this day. Jazakallah for everyone for coming. And just a quick